class. I always have to teach them to say the greeting back. I'm Anita Obermeier, Chair of the English Department, and I'm so glad to see so many of you here, especially our graduates. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow of our students' achievements. Their achievements are so substantial that the slideshow, I think, runs on one time through more than 15 to 20 minutes. It is good to be back, and I know we were here last year in person for Convocation, so I just wanted to say it again. It is my privilege to welcome you to this ceremony where we come to honor the students who have worked so hard to complete their degrees. We also pay tribute to the parents, spouses, partners, families, and friends, as well as faculty and alumni and generous donors who too made this wonderful occasion possible for the students who are graduating today. And perhaps those graduating today would like to express their appreciation to their loved ones right now with a round of applause. I furthermore want to thank the staff of the English department who work so hard all year round, and especially for this occasion. The staff, they're all hiding in the shadows right now, so if there's a lighting guru, can you light them up? But maybe they can step out a little bit of the shadow. So I would like to honor them too. So Val Lacey is our department administrator. Where's Val hiding? Somewhere. Didi Lopez, our senior scheduling coordinator and honors advisor, is over here in the pretty dress. Susan McAllister, our program specialist and assistant director of creative writing, is also hiding over here. Ryan Davis, our receptionist, webmaster, and general hub of the department, is over here doing the filming photos. And Keelan O'Reilly, our graduate advisor, I think is outside.
He's right here.
I think he's with Marie Bell, our fiscal tech, and they're both our refreshment guardians right now, because otherwise there may not be anything left. So thank you very much. So it is with great joy that I also welcome my colleagues here. They are the reason you, the students, are in this department. Let's clap for them. So right now you're saying, where are these people hiding? We have a slightly different setup for the first 10 minutes of this ceremony. So they're going to be up on stage here shortly, and then you can inspect them more closely. I also always like to give a shout out to the great teachers that we have in this department who garnered teaching awards again this year. So Professor Nair Tanya Gracia won the Emerging Teacher of the Year award. And Dr. Lisa Myers won the Arts and Sciences Teaching Excellence Awards for adjunct professors. And then later in the program, you will also hear about our great teaching assistants. So give them, please, a round. Now we will begin this ceremony with a short speech by an alumnus, Dr. Stephen Mexal. And then we'll announce our annual graduate and undergraduate awards, and then we end by presenting certificates to the graduates as they walk across the stage. So this year, again, it's a little different. Our speaker is not with us. We wanted to Zoom him in, but we weren't necessarily trustful of Zoom connections in a theater, so we had him recorded. But it is still my great pleasure and privilege to introduce our speaker, Dr. Stephen Mexal. So Dr. Mexal is a 1999 graduate from our department where he earned a BA and specialized in American literature. He told me that he is deeply indebted to Professor Tony Marquez, who directed his honors thesis, as well as Professors Gary Scharnhorst, Patrick Gallagher, Lynn Bean, Cheryl Fresh, and many others. Alas, all of those professors are now retired. After UNM, Stephen Mexal earned an MA and PhD from the University of Colorado Boulder. Dr. Mexal is professor of English at California State University, Fullerton, where he has also served as department chair. A joy and burden that I share. Dr. Mexal works primarily in 19th and 20th century American culture, political theory, and the history of liberalism, eco-criticism, and theories of wilderness, the American West, literary professionalism, and the business of universities, as well as popular culture. He is the author of 3 academic books and numerous articles. So he wrote Reading for Liberalism, The Overland Monthly, and the Writing of the Modern American West, Lincoln's Westerner, the short fiction of Noah Brooks, and as the third one, The Conservative Aesthetic, Theodore Roosevelt, Popular Darwinism, and the American Literary West. So I would say please welcome Dr. Mexal. You can still do it, even though he's not with us in person. And then I would ask that the video please be played.
Hello, and congratulations to all the 2024 degree recipients from the University of New Mexico Department of English Language and Literature. My name is Stephen Mexal. I grew up in Las Cruces, and 25 years ago this month I was sitting where you're sitting. I earned my BA in English right where you are at the University of New Mexico, and it's easy now to romanticize the past, but the truth is that the experience seems special even then. Talking about books and classes and coffee shops, having breakfast burritos at the Frontier, seeing string quartets at Pope Joy and bands downtown at the El Rey, buying old Hemingway paperbacks from the used book guy outside the Sub. After graduating with an English degree from UNM, I took I-25 North and went to graduate school at the University of Colorado, where I got a master's degree, also in English. I stayed at CU and earned my PhD there, also in English. And at that point, I had run out of English degrees, and people had long since stopped asking me what I was going to do with an English degree, let alone 3 of them. After grad school, I got a job as a professor at Cal State Fullerton in Orange County, California, where I've spent the past 17 years, and where I am right now. I have been fortunate in my work, embarrassingly so. I get to talk with smart young people about books and ideas. I've written a couple of books that are in libraries around the globe. I've got nearly 500,000 words in print, both in weirdo scholarly journals and in mainstream publications. It's a good life. When I was an English major, sitting where you're sitting, I'm not exactly sure how I thought it would all turn out for me, but my life now is probably pretty close to whatever a bookish kid from Las Cruces is reasonably allowed to dream. I'm very flattered that I was asked to talk with you today, and I just want to talk a little bit about the English major. When I do, I'm going to use the phrase English major, but really I'm talking about any degree offered by UNM, the BA, the MA, the MFA, the PhD, anything English. So when a person gets asked to think about a career for an English major, most people who aren't English majors, which is, to be honest, most people, probably think of a job like mine, as a professor or a teacher or a writer. And you've probably heard that yourself. An English major, what are you going to do with that? Teach English? Yeah, maybe. Here's the thing though, it's a myth that most English majors end up as English professors or English teachers, just like it's a myth that English majors end up as writers or copy editors or lawyers. And that's because there's no such thing as a stereotypical English major job. Despite what you might have heard, choosing a major is not the same thing as choosing a career. According to one nationwide study, only 27% of all college graduates end up in a career directly related to their college major. And that's not an accident or a failure of the system. That's the point. Most physics majors don't grow up to become full-time physicists. Maybe I'm talking to the parents here because I know this can sound a little odd, because some majors do one thing, right? Accounting majors study accounting in order to actually become accountants. Nursing majors study nursing in order to become nurses. So do English majors study English in order to become, what, Englishes? It's not even a thing. One thing that I think English majors tend to be unusually sophisticated about is the simple value of embracing their strengths. For the most part, English majors intuitively seem to know, somehow, that, hey, I should study things that I'm interested in and actually like doing, if for no other reason than I'll do better at them than things that I'm not interested in and don't like doing. In other words, English majors tend to do what they're good at, which is a good thing. Because an English degree gives you broad knowledge and skills that you can use in a range of careers. But what it doesn't give you is training for any one job. So what are some of those skills? And again, I'm probably talking to the parents here because it's not a secret. English majors learn how to write a certain way, how to read a certain way, how to think a certain way, how to argue, how to give and take criticism, how to be wrong, how to know what you know and know what you don't know, how to find patterns in textual data, how to set schedules and work on deadlines, how context can shape what something means, how it feels to be someone other than yourself, which is one of the most important skills that you can have in the workplace or in life, how to find not the big word, but the right word, and so on. Stuff like that. Now, those are skills that I use every day, but so do hundreds of thousands of other English majors who aren't professors or teachers or writers, because those are all skills that businesses want. Steve Jobs, one of the founders of Apple Computers, was once asked about this, and he said, technology alone isn't enough for Apple. He said, it's technology married with the liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields the results that make our hearts sing. That's the guy that founded the 4th largest company in America, and he's talking about how just as much as that company depends on technology or anything else, it depends on the humanities. That means you. When I was at UNM, one thing that I didn't fully understand was the fact that a college education is a passport and not a visa. And what that means is that a college degree will get you in the door, but it's not a promise of any single job. What happens next is up to you. But that's why it's important to do what you're good at. Let me talk about money just a little bit, and again, maybe I'm talking to the parents here. But the median lifetime salary for an English major, these are national figures, is a bit higher than the median lifetime salary for a psychology major. And the median lifetime salary for an English major is just a little bit lower than the median lifetime salary for a biology major. But that's not the point. This next thing is the point. The top 25% of English majors nationwide by salary earn more than the median salary for a business major. The top 25% of English majors also earn more than the median salary for a communications major, for a chemistry major, for a computer science major. So what's the lesson? It's better to be a great English major than an average business major. Do what you're good at. And once you start doing what you're good at, which is something everybody in this room already knows how to do, you never know where it's going to take you. The list of notable English majors is long. Most people know that Stephen King and Toni Morrison, both novelists, were both English majors. But not everyone knows that Hank Paulson, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs Bank and former Secretary of the U.S. Treasury, was also an English major. Anne Mulcahy, the former CEO of Xerox, was an English major. Harold Varmus, former director of the National Cancer Institute and winner of the Nobel Prize in Medicine, was an English major. And what all those people understood was that their English degree was a passport and not a visa. And it took all of them kind of a lot of time to get where they wanted to go. And when you're starting out, that can be hard to remember. I know. You might not get the first job that you want. And you might not actually want the first job that you get. But the first job leads to the second job, and the second leads to the third, and you want the job after the job. And that takes time. Because if the study of English is the study of, well, English, it can take you anywhere. Because what doesn't involve language? What doesn't involve English? Decades from now, the graduates in this room are going to end up in different places, most with pretty different jobs. But what's going to bind you all together, regardless of where your careers take you, is the habits of mind that you've cultivated here. Your writing skills, your attention to detail, your love of language and of narrative. Degrees in English have always been kind of defiant degrees, pursued by people who really just want to do what they're good at, who want to lean into what they're already interested in. An English degree tends to be a program of study undertaken by people who want to be creative and innovative thinkers who are interested in story and language and other people. And those are exactly the kind of folks that our society tends to look to as leaders in education and business and literature and the law. So it's all going to be okay. Henry David Thoreau once said, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with success, unexpected, in common hours. Or to maybe simplify it a little bit, just keep doing what you're good at, because you never know where it's going to take you. So my warmest congratulations on all your efforts, and I am so pleased to be able to talk with you at this new beginning, this commencement, because a world in which people are still interested in writing and in language is a world in which they're still interested in what it means to be human, and that's a world that I think we're all pretty happy to live in. So best of luck, and keep doing what you're good at. Thank you.
You're going to be going up there then together. It's not going to be you're going up there when they post the
I asked 5 people how to pronounce his name. I feel terribly bad I mispronounced Dr. Mexal. I also wanted to come clean and say that we had our eyes set last year for our speaker, Deb Holland, Secretary of the Interior, who also happens to be a graduate of this department. But we were kind of shunted aside in favor of the big graduation. But I do want to say that I think we still lucked out. I think our speaker was excellent. And I wanted to keep him in the limelight just a minute longer, because it is my great privilege to honor him by awarding him the department's Distinguished Alumnus and Friend of English Award. This will, however, be mailed to him, obviously. And then, before we get on to the more graduate-y stuff, I would like to also honor a donor family, the Beidelman family, the donors of the Reba Rutz Beidelman Scholarship, and that's awarded annually. It's one of our more generous scholarships that funds an English undergraduate, preferably a woman, to go to graduate school. We are honored to have with us today Carol Beidelman, the daughter of the person whom the scholarship is dedicated to. And I would also like to award her the department's Distinguished Friends of English Award. And so you can clap if you like. And I was hoping that Carol would say a few words about her parents, whose personal story is quite interesting. So I'm going to call her up here to do that.
Congratulations to everybody. It's really an honor to be here. I have sat up in the seats before and met some of the previous recipients of my mom's Reba Rutz Beidelman Memorial Scholarship in English, and I live in Santa Fe, so it's a very short trip for me to make, but it's very meaningful. So I didn't know I was going to have to say anything about that, but today I'll just say that my mom grew up in Albuquerque. She came here, her parents brought her here when she was 6 months old, And my grandfather was a conductor on the Santa Fe Railroad. They lived right off Central, and she went here to the university. She actually ended up with a Bachelor of Arts in Education, where she graduated in 1944. But the story behind this scholarship is really a love affair between my mom and my dad, who met here, interestingly, because it was before World War II, and he was in the Navy and had to go to a training school that was here at the university, and my mom was going to her classes here. So as he told me at some point, he saw an image of her on a Waves poster that was promoting, supporting the war effort on a camera shop on Central Avenue, and was determined to find her. My mom was very busy, didn't really have time for such things. She was involved in the border board and did a lot of work to help the Pueblo, the women who were from Pueblos that were attending the university here, and many other things. And she was very academic, so she she wasn't all that receptive to begin with. But my father pursued and was able to find her, and they had a chance to meet. And they did get engaged right before he had to go to World War II. Luckily, he came back. 2 years later, they got married. And then my father, who was a college professor, took my mom on the great adventure up to Colorado to teach at Colorado State University, and then University of Colorado Boulder, and then Colorado College as a biology, ecology professor. So how did this scholarship come to transpire? Well, and how did she use her English language skills? After she left here, I forgot to say, during the war, while he was in the Pacific Theater, she went to Columbia University and got her master's in English literature. So this was kind of the springboard for her, and that was an opportunity she took during a very difficult time. It was a period where women didn't often have the chance to be employed in their field. Back in the 1940s and 50s, and having children made it even more challenging, but what she ended up being was the most valuable person who made my father's career successful, because he wrote over 400 publications, and you can guess who the reviewer and editor was for all of those publications. When he retired, they retired to Pacific Grove, California in 1990, and he was in the midst of writing other tomes, very large publications and books. He didn't have time while he was teaching, and but unfortunately, about 10 days after they retired there, a drunk driver hit my parents while they were walking, and my mom was killed. Immediately, my dad set up this scholarship because this was the most important academic experience for her, and he wanted to honor her with it. So I continue. I went into biology like my father, but I used writing every day for the last 45 years of my career. So the person who just spoke, it's invaluable for whatever you go into. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to be here. Appreciate it.
Okay, now we're gonna get to